and welcome back to the channel for another live stream as we make our Matchday 2 predictions for the Euros. What a start the tournament's been. I've loved every minute of it. We're going to recap the Matchday 1 results as well, before we move on to the Matchday 2 predictions. But yeah, I loved every minute of it so far. But yeah, like I say, thanks everyone for tuning in today. This has been a bit of a last minute stream, But I thought, you know what, let's do this. Obviously, come on, do a live stream about the Euros. So yeah, big up to everyone that's tuning in this afternoon. And like I say, play along with us as well. Obviously, get your predictions as we go along as well. And let me know your thoughts on the results as we go through it. But today, I have got a very special guest with me today. A very good friend of mine that has been on the channel before. He's lovely company. I love speaking football with him. He's very knowledgeable. And yeah, I just really class him as a fantastic friend. But we're going to welcome on to the show now, Manny, my good friend. How are you doing? And thank you for joining me this afternoon.
Yeah, the pleasure's all mine. Thank you for inviting me, and good afternoon to you, and good afternoon to everyone in the chat who'll be joining in. And yeah, doing all right. Obviously, the tournament's going on, is taking shape, and I've also been focusing a bit on the cricket. Obviously, it is fairly big in Yorkshire, but probably not necessarily in your neck of the woods, I would imagine. But also been dealing with quite a lot of other things on the side, but none too serious as such. And yeah, great opportunity to come back and to talk some football. Can't wait.
Absolutely, very well said there as always. I'm going to say hello to Aidan in the chat there. He says hello, mate. Hope you're okay. Yeah, big up to you, Aidan. I'm doing all right, thank you. Hope you're well too. And yeah, thanks for tuning in as always. Make sure to smash the like and subscribe if you're new. He says, yeah, big up to you. Thank you for your support. Always here, Aidan, my very good mod that I have on the channel here. And then he says, hello, Manny. Hope you're okay as well. So yeah.
All good, mate. Thank you. And thank you for everything that you do for HTFTV.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're going to get into the stream now. We're going to get straight into it. Group A kicked off, obviously, at the very beginning of the tournament. And Germany, obviously, managed to beat Scotland 5-1. Now, obviously, Germany just was unbelievable in this game. Took Scotland to the cleaners, as they say. I think, Scotland was way below par, weren't they? And I think, obviously, they only scored as well because of the own goal. They didn't threaten the goal at all, apart from that. But yeah, Germany looked very strong at the man. I mean, what did you make of this game? I think Germany was very, very good, but I think Scotland, wow, I mean, they were very, very poor.
They were, and obviously there's not too much necessary to say about the Germans. It's their home turf, and they've got a fairly strong team, a combination of youth and experience. Some of the older guard, like, Mats Hummels, have been sent on their way, but I was shocked to see Manuel Neuer starting. I actually thought that Nagelsmann had made it clear that he no longer had a place in the team, but it is nice that the legend will get to retire in a major tournament in front of his adoring home fans. Tough for Mark ter Stegen, but it is what it is. But, you take a look at the players they've got, and you just have to say that several of them have had really good seasons with their clubs and have really, done well in recent times under Nagelsmann. So it wasn't too much of a surprise. I predicted a win, but what was unexpected was how they literally, sliced Scotland open like a tin of. They literally sliced them apart as if they were, a large square sausage, as they would say. And Steve Clarke's formation of a 3-5-2 is normally the type of formation that they would play, and it's sort of the way they played in the qualifiers. But I think the absence of Lyndon Dykes has really hurt them, because Che Adams never really offered very much. And if you're going to select Lawrence Shankland on the basis of his fine season with Heart of Midlothian, you've got to, give him the confidence to start as a second striker rather than simply play one up front. I think it was a 5-4-1 effectively, a 3-4-2-1, in fact. So, it just wasn't really going to work with the likes of Callum McGregor and Greg Ralston, the Celtic duo, being found wanting a little bit. And as far as Angus Gunn is concerned, I know he was able to, follow in his dad's footsteps by representing Scotland in a major tournament. and going one better by actually playing. But on the basis of that performance, you might as well change his name to Tommy Gun, because one or two okay saves, but definitely could have done better for the first goal.
Yeah.
Needed a stronger hand, and also for Emre Can's fifth goal, he needed to really be a little bit more imposing and prevent the ball from going going into the net. And that sending off of Ryan Porteous, I mean, Porteous was not courteous and definitely not virtuous either. And yes, he got the ball, but when you go fall in like that with your studs towards Ilkay Gundogan's ankle, you are asking for trouble, and that really mucked them up in terms of affecting their shape. I think they almost had to go to a 4-3-2 or maybe a 4-4-1. Actually, they didn't. They brought on Grant Hanley for Che Adams, so it still was with a back three. But this should now be the time for Clark to consider making a huge tactical switch and maybe go into a back four. And when you have two of the best left backs in the world, if you have to try to fit them in together, it's a little bit like the problem England had when we had Steven Gerrard and Frank Lampard in the team. There was this idea that we couldn't play them together, and yet they'd always be shoehorned in. There's a part of me that thinks that, with Tierney providing a great deal of natural width, you could actually have him playing as a de facto left winger with Robbo at left back. Where does that leave John McGinn? Have him move into the left of centre in that midfield four. So those are some questions that Steve Clark is going to have to answer for himself. Where does he go from here tactically? And he's up against a Swiss team that also look very imperious, as we will discuss, against Hungary. And Scotland and Switzerland are going to be playing tonight, in fact, as are Germany and Hungary. But, I fear for the Scots tonight. I really believe that they're going to end up, drowning in fondue, as it were.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with it. I think, like I said, Germany did play well, didn't they? But I just think some of the goals are questionable. And yeah, I forgot about the red card actually. That challenge from Porteous was horrendous. That was really nasty. So yeah, definitely red card. But yeah, Germany, the host, start with a win. Now moving on to the next game now in the group. Hungary, of course, got beat by Switzerland by 3-1. Switzerland, I think, were really good in this one, especially in the first half. Obviously, they took a 2-0 lead into half time. I think Hungary offered very little, though, to be honest with you. Obviously, they did get a goal back in the 60th minute, but then Switzerland obviously finished it off in injury time with a third goal. But I think Hungary, when they got that goal, to be fair, they did push a bit more and tried to get back into it, but they couldn't quite find the target very well. But yeah, Switzerland, I think on the balance of play, I think they deserved the win, didn't they? I think Switzerland, with Granit Xhaka, by the way, I think Granit Xhaka, he was outstanding, in this game again. And I think he really carries his country so well. But yeah, I think Switzerland was really good, but I think Hungary, I don't know what I expect from them before the game. Maybe I expected a little bit more, but yeah, they didn't perform as well as maybe I thought. What did you make of this game, Manny? Because I think Switzerland were they deserved to win in the end, didn't they? I think.
They did, and I actually had this game finishing in a 2-2 draw because I do seem to remember barely 1 or 2 years ago this Hungary team looking very impressive in the Nations League. Unless we forget, they actually thrashed us 4-0 at Molineux, if memory serves me right. Aaron Ramsdale having a game to forget. I already mentioned that a few times. I have to mention that again. And obviously with Szoboszlai, Salai, and several other players in that team, that I actually thought that they would really do well in these Euros. But maybe they've started to, I suppose, slip a little bit in terms of their form. And maybe a few players look a little bit undercooked, perhaps. But, credit to the Swiss. I mean, people always ignore the Swiss for some reason. They do have some quality players, as you mentioned, Xhaka, but also a special mention for the likes of Jan Sommer, Rodriguez at left back, and Shaqiri was on the bench, which was a bit of a surprise. I'd like to think he came on later. But they also managed to unearth some really young talent, including that striker Dua, who opened the scoring. I think it's fair to say that his family set a good Dua for him, and it was rewarded. I have to do that. You get that from me. Please forgive me. But yeah, so Switzerland really looked to be a very well organised team, a very slick sort of team. And lest we forget, they beat France en route to making the quarterfinals in the last Euros, where they lost to Spain in an absolute thriller, 5-3 after extra time. And Spain, of course, went on to lose to Italy in the semi-finals. But Switzerland are always a team that have a knack of not only qualifying for finals, they get out of their group stages more than easily enough, and they end up doing pretty well for themselves. There have been a few occasions where they haven't quite done well, but more often than not, they manage to do it. And they have that sort of an ethic about them that really makes them a team to, watch. And credit to Xhaka. I think he's one of those players who seems to enjoy performing more for his nation than at club football at the best of times, because Arsenal fans still cannot really forgive him for his antics when he was with us. And even when he was with us, I wanted N'Golo Kante to come to us instead of him, and we will talk about Kante later.
Yeah.
But Xhaka had a decent last season with us, and then he went to Leverkusen, won the League and Cup double, should have had an invincible treble, but just couldn't quite get over the line. I think Xhaka seems to be one of those people, as I said, Ryan, who enjoys playing for his country a great deal, and as the national captain, he obviously relishes that responsibility. He doesn't have any idiotic fans getting on his back, but he performs well, and it's a good relationship. And Switzerland, I have them qualifying from the group in second place, though, behind the Germans. And that match, of course, later on the tournament will be interesting because, many Swiss players, of course, play in the Bundesliga. So they will be familiar with some of the patterns of play. And that will be an interesting game. And as far as how they go against Scotland tonight, I've got them down to win. And as far as Hungary are concerned, they also play Germany. And they're going to have to really dig deep to try to get something out of this, but I cannot see them doing anywhere near well enough. But Hungary could end up beating Scotland, though, and get a consolation 3 points.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. But yeah, like I said, Switzerland deserve the win. They're their third goal by Mbola, by the way. He's been out of a serious injury in the past year, so he hasn't played much football. He had an ACL injury, I think, and yeah, he's obviously not played much football, and he scored, obviously, so yeah, fair play to him. But yeah, Switzerland, of course, and Germany starts off with winning both of their games respectively. Germany sits top first, Switzerland, and then Switzerland in second, then Hungary third, with 0 points, in Scotland with 0 points as well. But yeah, that's Group A concluded. We move swiftly on to Group B now with this interesting game that I thought was going to be better than what I actually showed. I thought it would have been a bit more competitive, but it wasn't. Spain beating Croatia 3-0. Now, for me, Spain were so good. They were better than Croatia in every single department for me. I think they had to be a bit patient in the beginning, but obviously they made a breakthrough just before the half-an-hour mark with Morata, who I've always think that he's gone under the radar at football clubs. Really, I think he's a great player. He's okay. Might not have had the best of time in the Premier League at times, but I still think he's a quality striker, and he proved that with the goal he got. And then obviously Ruiz doubling the lead a few minutes later, and then Carvajal obviously scored just before the break in injury time. It was an unbelievable half for Spain. But yeah, just going on to Croatia, I think I did expect a bit more from Croatia, I think in the midfield, I know people are on about, like Brozovic, obviously Modric, unbelievable player, and Kovacic. But I just don't know if that midfield, it doesn't have the right balance. They are aging players. I would still pick Modric in there, but I think Modric struggled because he hasn't got the legs to be able to run the show anymore, but he can still obviously do a lot. Whereas the other two, they're still very good, but I just think maybe one of those could be sacrificed for a younger player that can bring a bit more energy in that midfield for me. But look, Croatia, I did expect a bit more from them, really, personally, Croatia. They did a bit disappoint me a bit. Now, obviously, Spain's forward line is just unbelievable, isn't it? Obviously, so much pace. I'm really impressed by that Lamine Yamal, 16 years of age, unbelievable talent at his age. It's great, scary. He nearly got on the score sheet himself, but couldn't quite find it. I think he had a shot on target, a few, and was constantly causing problems down that right-hand side. But yeah, no, Spain thoroughly deserved the win. Croatia, not a very good performance from them, and they struggled to kind of impose themselves properly in this game. But Spain just too good. Yeah, what did you make of this game, Manny? I think Spain were just too good, weren't they? And what do you make of what I said about Croatia and the midfield? You know, where are you at with that?
Yeah, I completely get what you're saying, and I think we actually discussed this to some extent
Yeah.
on Eugene's stream, where I said that Croatia traditionally normally would be slow starters, but they sort of play their way into the tournament. And for what it's worth, they will be playing Albania in their next game, which should give them an opportunity to, settle down and have sort of, for Zlatko Dalic to make a few tweaks to the team lineup. And one of those changes could, in fact, see Luka Modric dropping out but coming on as a substitute the way he normally does at Real Madrid. And I'm a little bit surprised that Dalic would even consider him to start. And of course, Ivan Perisic came on later. By several accounts, though, the game was actually a lot closer than the result might suggest, because Croatia did have chances of their own. It was just that Spain were a little bit more clinical. And the thing about Morata is this. I always think that he is a decent striker myself, and he has an excellent record at international level. But let's also not forget that he is a little bit of a stat padder, a bit like Peter Crouch was back in the day. And don't get me wrong, if I had to choose between Morata and Crouch, I'd choose Morata every day of the week. I did not care for Peter Crouch's goal celebration. I'm sure you'd agree with me on that. And but credit to Morata, he does also have a very happy knack of scoring goals in major tournaments and also in games when he needs to score for Spain. It's just that at club level he tends to be a little bit inconsistent, but with the benchmark being having the ability to score a goal every 2 games, he does that at national level, so he always maintains it. But so did Peter Crouch, and then again, when you score hat tricks against lesser nations who clearly can't cut the mustard and whose players are not even good enough to play for Accrington Stanley, who are there? You are going to obviously score more than a few. And I've seen the likes of Raul Gonzalez, even Fernando Morientes play for Spain over the years. So those strikers obviously were absolute quality. Very consistent. David Villa also, don't forget him, still the all-time top scorer for the Spanish national team, if I'm correct, although maybe Morata will overtake him, I don't know. And you could say that the Spanish team, obviously, with Yamal in the team and several others, looked a lot fresher and a lot more professional. And of course, with Rodri running the strings in midfield, it's always going to be a lot stronger. Croatia's midfield, of course, I think they are still dependent in many ways on Modric in a way, and also Kovacic from Manchester City. And there does seem to be a little bit of, creaking bones in that lineup. But I also say that Croatia generally do start a tournament fairly slowly. They don't normally, start gung-ho. And they should be able to bounce back and beat Albania, and then it'll be all to play for between them and Italy. And I still think that they will find a way to get the results they need once they make a few tweaks. As for Spain, well, in the World Cup, they started off by thrashing Costa Rica, hitting them for 7, but then they comparatively, sort of stumbled into the second round and got completely done over by an inspired Moroccan team. So, in as much as the performance was outstanding, I'm still not too willing to make too much of the Spanish team as of yet. There are a few outstanding players in the team, don't get me wrong, and when they play well, they play really, really well. But one person who could be a bit of a weak link is the goalkeeper Unai Simon. I don't rate him. I think his handling is very poor. Several Spanish goalkeepers over the years have struggled with their handling. How Marc Cucurella finds a place in that starting lineup, I don't know. He was certainly not very consistent at Chelsea, and at times Pochettino even played him as a right back. Go figure. But
yeah, I agree.
Go ahead, mate.
Yeah, I agree. I was just going to touch upon Cucurella there. I think Cucurella is so erratic, isn't he, with his defending? He's lunging so many times in his game. I just, like I say, at Chelsea, he doesn't convince me. He doesn't. If he was in my side, I wouldn't feel safe, if you get me, because I just think he's just a bit of a erratic footballer. He's not good defensively, and yeah, he was a bit of a weak link. Another thing, though, what about the centre backs for Spain? I don't know if that's maybe a weak link, because I'm not convinced. Who have they got at the centre halves at the moment? But I seem to pinpoint them as maybe a bit of a weak link. I can't remember who they've got.
Let me take a look at that for you right now, because obviously, over the years, the Spanish defense has been something more
Yeah,
pivotal.
yeah,
Has been pivotal to their successes, and of course, they had the likes of Carlos Puyol, to a lesser extent, Gerard Piqué, and maybe a few others. But I will try and take a look at the Spain-Croatia game and see who started for you. And whenever Spain have failed to do really well, it's normally been their defense that has, in fact, let them down. So it's something that they're going to have to really look into here. And I certainly would think that they're going to have to tighten up their defense as well, because their defense will be prone to some poor mistakes. I got the
yeah.
scores and the fixtures here, but I'm trying to look for all of the teams. There should be some
I
right
think
scores and
I,
fixtures.
I certainly think Grimaldo is the better option over Cucurella, though. I was a bit surprised that Grimaldo didn't start for Spain, but instead of
Yes,
Cucurella,
I agree.
you
I
know,
agree. I agree. It should have been Grimaldo there, and I've got the match over here now. Thanks a lot to the wonderful people at BBC Sport for their neatly organised database. And once we get to the page, I can tell you the lineups. Yes, they had Nacho and Robin Lenormand in the centre, with Danny
yeah,
Carvajal at right back and Marc Cucurella at left back. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, obviously Nacho, we know him from his time at Real Madrid, but as far as Lenormand is concerned, I'll be the first to admit that I don't really know too much about him. But Nacho and Carvajal back over there would have given the defense a great deal of experience, so it would have, in some ways compensated for any kind of rashness or naivety from the other two there. And this is another example of how a back four will almost always give you the results that you would desire. So try
yeah,
not to be too clever when it comes to organizing your defense. Then, of course, you've got the likes of Fabian Ruiz, Rodri, and Pedri in the middle of that three-man midfield, with the likes of Martin Zubimendi and Danny Olmo coming on as subs to replace them. And as far as their midfield is concerned, they look very solid indeed. Morata on his own up front, along with Nico Williams and Yamal, would definitely provide a
yeah.
great deal of impetus. In fact, where are my manners? Do please excuse me. Let me share the lineups for you right now.
Or can you do that? I don't know if you could do that.
Oh, yes, I can, because as long as you've got the present icon over here, you can definitely see that. So Luis de la Fuente obviously going for a 4-3-3, Cucurella at left back, Carvajal at right back, Nacho and Lenormand. It was a central midfield three of Ruiz, Rodri, and Pedri, with Olmo and
Yeah,
Zubimendi coming on to replace the two more senior players, and then Morata being replaced by Oyarzabal, and Marino coming on for Williams, and Ferran Torres coming on for Lamal. And the bench itself, I mean, obviously, how much talent do you have to choose from? Jesus Navas, who's had a fine season with Sevilla, of course, still more than doing the business. As you said, Grimaldo should have been considered as an option. And that should answer your question in many ways. I've got a call to take, so just
yeah, no problem. But anyway, I'll continue now. The second match of Group B was Italy taking on Albania. Now, obviously, Italy started off in the worst possible way. So that throwing from DiMarco early on, giving it straight to Bajrami for Albania in the penalty area, where he was just clean on through. For the goal, he obviously took it well, but I think that was a horrendous mistake by DiMarco. I think DiMarco has to be better there. It's one of those where it's just a horror mistake. It's a horror mistake, and Italy did start off very poorly, but then obviously they did come back fighting. They showed the resilience, their character. Obviously they equalised 10 minutes afterwards, where Bastoni got on the score sheet, and then obviously 5 minutes later they went ahead courtesy of a Barella strike. But look, people may say that Albania played well, and I think apart from the goal, I don't think Albania really did much anyway, to be fair. And the goal, to be fair, was put on the plate for Bajrami, who obviously took it very nicely. I'm not gonna discredit him for that, because I think he still had to finish the chance. But no, I just think, you know, Italy just showing their quality, and even though the game did stay tight, you know, maybe people, once they got 2-1 ahead, they may have expected Italy to maybe get a third or fourth, but they didn't. And obviously Albania just tried to stay in the game. You know, there was always that question mark about if, you know, it only takes one chance and Albania could have equalised. I think they did maybe come close a few times from what I remember. Like I said, there's been so much football on, I've forgotten about Group B now, because it was quite a while back now. I can't remember when this game was actually. It was Saturday night, yeah. So, but yeah, look, Italy deserved the win. Maybe not the best performance from them, but they just showed their quality in the end. Obviously, Group B ending with Spain first with 3 points. Italy second with 3 points. Obviously, Albania third with no points, and Croatia fourth with no points. Obviously, Albania having the better goal difference, so that's why they're ahead. But yeah, no, I think that I expected that Italy to win. I think I went a more of a comfortable scoreline in my predictions for Matchday 1. But no, Italy just too strong in the end, and I think that they deserve it. But obviously, Manny, I don't know if he's here, but he might be back in a second. Obviously, he's taking a call at the moment. Be interesting to see what his thoughts are. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the chat as well, by the way. I'm going to have to race through these now, because like I said, I've got quite a few games left to discuss, including the England game, which we'll maybe go into a bit more detail. But yeah, I mean, but yeah, like I say, guys, there'll be plenty more content whilst we're waiting for Manny. There'll be plenty more content from me. I think obviously going to do a bit more of Euros. I have been doing some watch-alongs, but I have been doing them on other channels. Like I say, I've been joining Eugene's channel for one stream. I did regularly on the United Way with Dean, one of my good friends. I've been doing watch-alongs on there. I think we might be doing one tonight, actually. I don't know if I'm going to be doing a watch along for a game of my choice as well, because Dean obviously doesn't do every game, so when he doesn't do a game, I could potentially do one on my own channel, but we'll see. Obviously, Huddersfield Town stuff as well. Obviously, trying to keep up to date with that as well. Obviously, our new signing that was announced yesterday, I did a video on that. So if you haven't seen that, go and check that out, please, for me. Like I say, Sorensen becoming the first summer signing for the club. And yeah, I've been trying to do a few videos here and there. Obviously, it's a bit quiet at the moment, but it might be quite lively now with the transfer market open. Hopefully, a few more signings for us, you know, in the coming weeks. And yeah, I'll be trying to do as much as I can. And also on my TikTok, I've been doing a lot of football stuff on my TikTok as well, by the way. I've been very consistent with that too. Ryan M Official on TikTok as well. But yeah, we may have to move on from this game, and I might just kind of share my thoughts on the Slovenia-Denmark game going into Group C now as we wait for Manny to come back. Slovenia won, Denmark won. Now, Christian Eriksen obviously opened the score in the 17th minute for Denmark. I think obviously a great goal, by the way, as well. You know, really nicely taken goal for him for sure. But after that, I think Denmark kind of just sat, you know, they couldn't get that second goal. And then as the game went on, you know, I was just thinking of stuff in my head as we were watching the game. I wonder if that'll come back to haunt them. And it did. You know, Slovenia getting a goal late on in the 77th minute, courtesy of Janza, I think it is pronounced. But look, I think for me, it was an amazing point for Slovenia. They'll be unbelievably happy with that. But Denmark will be disappointed. You know, they did have chances before that to finish the game off, I think I remember. And yeah, they just couldn't put the game to bed before they allowed Slovenia a chance, with not converting the chances that they had before. So, look, Denmark will have to try and react. Obviously, they have got England next, which we are going to get into. But yeah, I think it is one of those where Denmark will have learnt their lessons from this game. I think that they'll just have to come again. To be honest with you, they'll have to come again, and they'll have to. Although they obviously have got England next, so it's not getting any easier for them. They have got a point on the board, so if they don't beat us, and then they beat, I can't remember who they'll be playing after. They'll be playing Serbia, won't they, after us? So if they can beat them in the final game, they'll have 4 points. That might be enough to see them through anyway. But I suppose we'll just have to wait and see. Obviously, the England game, it finished 1-0 to us. Now, look, I kind of share my thoughts on this game. The start of the game was good from us, but obviously we got on the score sheet, courtesy of a Jude Bellingham header. Obviously great build-up play for that. Trent Alexander-Arnold, feeding the ball through to Saka, who got the ball across. Obviously it did deflect, but it fell to Bellingham, who had a lot to do, by the way, in that moment, and he took ownership of that situation, and he got the goal. Unbelievable! It was a really good goal, to be honest with you. But then after that, as usual with Southgate football, it seems to be score one and then just settle for that. I mean, how many times that came back to haunt us before? I know luckily it didn't in this game, but that's not the point. Southgate never seems to learn. And just remains his stubborn self for me. After the goal, obviously we offered very little. We were so poor. It seemed to get worse as the game went on. I thought the second half was absolutely horrendous. Oh, you're back, Manny.
I do apologise. I had to sort of do a small favour for my dad. He wanted some coffee. It's not really.
Oh no, it's not. Don't worry about it. It's fine. But like I said, I've just kind of. But yeah, as I said, I think the in-game management of Southgate once again questionable. The substitutions he made as well. For me, I felt like he just isn't proactive enough. Any fan that was watching that game could see after the opening 10 to 15 minutes of that second half, we needed to change it. But he waited until the 69th minute, nearly the 70th minute, and then he brings on Conor Gallagher. I mean, I'm sorry. That to me sees that he's just making that substitution to just settle for the 1-0. And it's like, well, that's not really good enough. We needed to try and get the second goal. But as usual, Southgate didn't do that. Serbia obviously had made 4 changes by that point, worth noting. Like I said, Gallagher, I think there were better options over Gallagher for me, i.e. Manu or Wharton. So Saka came off. I thought Saka was outstanding. He was really good. Bowen came on and did well. Great ball in for one of the chances that we had. The only chance we had in that second half. Courtesy of obviously Kane headed it onto the crossbar. Bellingham came off, and Manu came on the 86th minute. But I think the bottom line for me is this performance was so underwhelming and poor again. Very boring, painful to watch. Now, Manny, I want to bring you in here. I think, I've got people saying to me that a win is a win, and a win in the first game is the most important. I absolutely understand that, man. I do. But I also want to see the team perform better and put in a better performance to make a bit of a statement, like Germany did, like Spain did, to start the time off with a bang, if you could say so. So do you know what I mean by that? And what did you make of this game? Because I'm keen to know your thoughts overall on this game and obviously the Bellingham goal and everything. Yeah, what have you made?
Yeah, first of all, let me ask you, mate. After we spoke about Croatia versus Spain, did you talk about any of the other games?
Oh, yes, I did. Yeah, you can touch upon that briefly if you want. Obviously, I went through the Italy-Albania and then the Slovenia-Denmark game, obviously into Group C. So, yeah, Italy-Albania,
yeah.
as I was saying.
Okay.
Yeah, go on.
I will run through those 2 games in 30 seconds. Slovenia against Denmark. Christian Eriksen, bravo. A fairy tale story par excellence. We all thought that he would have, passed away 3 years ago, but 3 years ago he comes back a little bit like Lazarus or the Phoenix from the Flames and scores. As long as he's able to manage the rest of his career very well, I think he could still play on for a few more years. But it is great to see him do well. I think Slovenia showed fight to get back, and Denmark will really need to, improve their concentration defensively if they're going to give us any kind of a challenge tomorrow. And Italy and Albania, as expected, Albania showed spirit and they took a well-deserved lead, but Italy showed why they're the defending champions, but not too much action in the second half. And was that all?
Yeah, and I've just touched on the England game, so feel free to kind of discuss this game, because like I said, I go back to it.
Oh, mate, listen. Let me tell you, you know me by now, after doing that post-mortem with you in the Iceland game. Both you and I share a mutual dislike for Gareth Southgate and the way he's gone about, selecting the squad and also, organising the team tactically. You take a look at the bench that we've got, and I'm going to sort of go to that game right now. And the substitutes he brought on, obviously, were Conor Gallagher, Jared Bowen, and Kobbie Mainoo. So you take a look at the bench and just wonder, why wasn't Cole Palmer given a run out? What about another striker to replace Kane, who clearly was not able, someone like an Ivan Toney or a Watkins? What about Adam Wharton? You call him to the squad amid such fanfare, you don't even give him a game. What about Anthony Gordon, who could have come on for a misfiring Phil Foden? These are some of the substitutions that could have been made, and he didn't even opt to do that. And I want to shout out a friend of mine, Steve Jenkins, better known as Mr. B, and he has his channel, of course, the Hive Football Chat. And we were doing, a review/preview of England's game against, Serbia, and also obviously leading up to the game against Denmark. And I think Hayden said it perfectly. Our best player was Bellingham. He scored and got a lot of tackles in. Beautiful to watch, and that's why he's got to play in that number 10, because that is where his best performance is. And we'll come back to circle back to Bellingham in a minute. But Mr. B and I were talking a lot about how, if you want to make a statement by picking young players in the team and phasing out the old guard in the process, you've got to back your own convictions and say, I'm going to pick these players. Because in 1988, we also had a star-studded team which went to the European Championships, also hosted in Germany, and we were favourites to win the title. And back in the day, there were only 8 teams split into 4 groups, and the top 2 would go to the semi-finals, and then we all know what would happen. We were favourites to win the title. We had great expectations, but we had the ill fortune of being grouped with Holland and the USSR, who went on to reach the final, and also a plucky Republic of Ireland team managed by none other than Geordie boy Jack Charlton, who had a long career, of course, playing-wise with Leeds United, and of course was a World Cup winner with us. And we lost all 3 games, including, losing 1-0 to the Republic of Ireland with Ray Houghton scoring the winner. We didn't fare better against Holland or the USSR, and we caught the early flight home. And the press were scathing in their denunciation of Bobby Robson then, Lord rest his soul, and called for his resignation. But he stuck to the job. And one of the first things he did was start to phase out quite a few of the players who wouldn't feature again for England, certainly in the lead up to Italia 90, the likes of Glenn Hoddle, Kenny Sansom, Viv Anderson. They were sort of phased aside. And we had the likes of Stuart Pearce and Paul Gascoigne and a few others. David Platt, don't forget him. He was also brought into the team. And these 3 players, mind you, went on to perform pivotal roles in England's run to the semi-finals in Italia 90 and were also key players as we reached the finals of Euro 96. So when you make big calls to replace such players who have served England well over the years with younger players, you've got to find to make sure that you give them the confidence to play them. What's the point of dropping the likes of Henderson and Grealish and Rashford and picking, Mainoo and Wharton and, Palmer and 1 or 2 others if you're not going to give them the chance to really play? And we were talking, of course, about how Mainoo looked a little bit like a duck out of water against Iceland, playing in that defensive midfield pivot role alongside Declan Rice. Who do we have in the squad, Ryan, who can actually perform that holding midfield role well? If you want to play a 4-3-3, you've got to have two of those midfielders being holding midfielders. We had that with Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips in Euro 2020. We didn't start with that in the World Cup. I believe we had Rice and Bellingham as the defensive pivot. But later on the tournament, Henderson came in and really gave the midfield a great deal of balance, and it allowed Bellingham to, move up a lot more so that Rice and Henderson could do the dirty work because Phillips was, injured. He had an injury playing season. Shouldn't have been picked for the squad, but obviously he wasn't picked to start any game. Didn't play a single minute in that tournament. And we actually looked a lot better. But without Henderson in the team, Rice doesn't have anyone who has the defensive discipline and awareness required to play in that role alongside him. And putting Bellingham back there is a no-go.
No.
There's no way. You can't do that. So who do you play in that position? We tried Trent Alexander-Arnold against Serbia, and we saw what happened. He gave the ball away too many times. And for a guy like him who, attacks beautifully, has a great passing range, good at set pieces and runs very well, but can't defend for toffee, you can't expect him to play in that position. Of course, I know Alexander Zinchenko plays in a similar position for the Ukraine and plays left back for us, but that's a different kettle of fish. I don't want to talk about that. But if you don't have a player who has that defensive discipline, you're asking too much of Declan Rice. And he has to have the responsibility of getting his defensive midfield partner to toughen up and make sure that he gets switched on the whole time. And so he now has to overwork himself, and people take a look at his touch map and say that, he had a magnificent game and he was man of the match. But by all accounts, I do remember watching your preview and you said that he was quite disappointing. And the reason is because, you're overworking the bloke. So it's bad squad selection in terms of tactics, and also the team lineup also tactically was wrong. Our defense is nowhere near strong enough, especially with Kieran Trippier playing in that Luke Shaw role. But obviously we know he can't use his left foot for toffee either.
It doesn't work. Yeah.
And that Trippier Foden combination looked so inept and impotent against Serbia. We've got to make some big changes and changes fast. And Gordon, at least, has the ability to run and he can cross a little bit. Maybe he, was in some ways a bit skittish, you could say, against Iceland, but he could be an option. And so, as with Steve Clarke and Scotland, Southgate really has to put his thinking cap on and say, you know what, there's always going to be room for improvement. And so we're going to have to show that against a Danish team that will be determined to, beat us after losing to us in the semi-finals 3 years ago. So
absolutely.
The substitutions as well. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But for me, though, I know you're saying about the midfield, right? Obviously, with Rice alongside somebody that can really help him as well. I would love to see. I think Trent Alexander-Arnold can't stay there for me. I just don't think he just can't. I want to see Manu in there, but is Manu good enough to play in that? Obviously, he didn't play that with Rice against Iceland. I also like the look of Wharton, who I think Wharton would be a good. He's comfortable on the ball. He's good defensively. He gets to tackle it. And done so well at Crystal Palace since he came in January. But yeah, and then defensively, I agree. Trippier, I think he's just not working there. We need Shaw back as soon as possible, really. And then in the same, I think Mark Gay, by the way, played really solid against Serbia. I know he may not have had much to do, but when he did, I know he may have had one or two tricky moments. But on the whole, everyone was saying he's not good enough to play in that position. I know he's not really tested yet, but and he's actually shown that he's quality. But yeah, a lot to think. But for me, I don't have any belief that Southgate will change it because he's proven that he's too stubborn in his own ways and he keeps it the same. And how Foden continues to play 90 minutes, not just in this game, but the previous game against Iceland for 90 minutes and not get subbed off after playing so badly. I don't care. People can say, his position isn't there. Well, he's not going to play in the middle because Bellingham's there. Bellingham is there to stay. So I'm sorry, that's it. So Foden, I don't know what's happening with him, but he's not performing. He needs to come out for the next game for me. But look, we're going to have to wait and see. But I don't have much confidence going forward with this manager. I'll keep saying it until he goes. Hopefully, he walks. But anyway, moving on. So the group as it stands, obviously England do sit top with 3 points. Denmark with the 1 point in second, then Slovenia with the 1 point in third, and Serbia fourth with 0 points. So it's a battle between. Well, mind you, we're not qualifying yet, but I feel like it's a battle between Denmark and Slovenia for the second place. I don't think Serbia will be able to be fighting for the second place. But I know it's only one match day, so that may change very quickly. But anyway, on to Group D. We're going to have to. We are actually speaking a lot about this game. We're going to have to be quite brief with this, to be fair. Poland won, the Netherlands 2. Now, we did this game anyway, man. You joined on Eugene's, but I'll just quickly say what I think. Look, I think the Netherlands struggled to find their rhythm. I think they had loads of chances, but they just couldn't finish. And I think that was the biggest story of the game. I think obviously Lewandowski for Poland not playing was a big loss for Poland. They didn't have the quality. You know, I know they scored, but they didn't have the quality going forward to really have a chance of winning this game, in my opinion. But Weghorst came on late. Now, this guy managed to score the winner. I don't particularly rate him, as you were aware, when that came back to haunt me when I said what I did on Eugene's stream. But yeah, to be fair play, good finish. It was a late goal, and the Netherlands just did enough. I'm going to go on to the second game, and you can talk, Manny, about the two games as well. Austria, France. I mean, France was they were very underwhelming in this game for me. I think they stumbled across the line with a really below par performance against Austria, who, to their credit, I think they were very organised. They stuck to their game plan, and I think Ralf Rangnick, really did well in this game. Obviously, they only scored France because of the own goal, which is a bit of an unfortunate goal by Gobert, who will be very disappointed with his body position in trying to defend that. I'm not sure what he was thinking when he did what he did. Obviously, Austria did look a bit better going forward when they brought Arnautovic on and Wimmer, who I think they should be starting next game. But yeah, talk me through these Group D clashes that happened, Manny. I mean, what did you make of both of them?
Yeah, Group D, right? So obviously, the Netherlands-Poland game, we all saw the game. You were basically making it crystal clear that if the Netherlands were unable to, win anything, then it would literally serve them right, because you just don't you can't get away with missing so many chances, and it just goes to show that against a team like Poland, the Netherlands got away with it, but as we will see later on, Belgium weren't as lucky. But Poland as well, without Lewandowski, you could tell that they just didn't quite have it up front. I know that Buxa scored the opener, and it looked it certainly looked as though Poland were going to have a really good day out of it. But then trust the Netherlands to make their pressure count. Gakpo with a deflected goal. And we can agree that the Netherlands won't really go too far, but you also have to compliment them for the way that they were able to, dictate the play in the midfield and then just give themselves a chance. The chance to give themselves a chance to score. It was just that they didn't have the quality in the final third. And defensively, of course, they're always going to be a fairly solid unit. Although they've transitioned from the back 3/back 5 to more of a back 4. So while Denzel Dumfries still starts, he's more of an established right back, and there's no room for Daley Blind in the team. And I wanted to see Daley Blind come on later on, although maybe this could be his final major tournament anyway. He might be phased out. I don't know. And it might not have been a pleasant match to watch in many ways. And obviously Poland were looking to be more defensive and hit the Dutch on the counter attack. And when they needed to, the Dutch defense held firm, except of course on corners where Poland were able to find a great deal of joy. But the Netherlands will have a lot of work to do, as will Poland, and a lot will depend on whether or not Lewandowski will be fit. Because, yes, a little bit like Kane, what happens is that he starts as a lone striker and then goes back into the midfield. But when he plays as part of a two up front, he's often a little bit better where you get the interplay, I think. And he needs to recover from that thigh injury ASAP. Otherwise, Poland can, pretty much kiss their chances of further progression in the tournament goodbye. And as far as the Austria-France game is concerned, yes, it was underwhelming because France also had an almost similar problem. Early on, Mbappe did force a very good save out of Patrick Pence, the Austrian goalkeeper, who seems to be a good shot stopper, but is worryingly a little bit too short for my taste. And, when you have the likes of his central defenders and even certainly Arnautovic, towering ahead above him in terms of height, it's not really necessarily a good look. And I want to just take a look at how tall he is. Rangnick seems to prefer him over Lindner and the other goalkeeper. He's a flat 6 foot. I mean, come on. How do you expect a guy like him to, be able to deal with crosses against some of the bigger defenders? So, to counter that, I think Rangnick has to have some even taller defenders in front of him so that they can maybe win the ball whenever there's a corner. But, he had a decent game, unlucky to be beaten by the own goal, of course. And again, we've seen 3 own goals scored in this tournament already. It's just another reminder that defensively, if you make a slight mistake, if you switch off, you are going to ask for punishment. And that's pretty much what happened with Austria. I think the injury to Mbappe and seeing him, leave the field earlier than desired probably didn't help matters very much. And it will remain to be seen whether or not he does come back into the tournament. I think he might end up playing with a face mask. So you could see our boy Mbappe looking a little bit like Zorro. And, France's bench is also just impressive. Carlo Muani, Olivier Giroud, Fofana, Camavinga, Barcola. Chouameni didn't start. I was expecting him to start, but he ended up, making way for Kante and Rabiot. France actually looked a little bit good, but they also had a similar game to the Netherlands in that they had a lot of they had better stuff with the ball. They did better with the possession they had, but again, they just couldn't really get that goal they needed. And in as much as people would like to credit the build-up play to the goal, the fact is it was an own goal, and so. Austria do have a lot of comfort to take from this, but they also are going to have to make sure that they toughen up defensively and avoid making mistakes. And 3 of their back 4 ended up getting yellow cards, so they're going to have to really be very careful how they play. But credit to Ralph Rangnick, he saw his team do their best to nullify the all-conquering French team, and. As it stands now, France go forward, and they should do the business in their next game. Austria are going to have to try to lick their wounds. I do believe that Austria will be in with a chance of qualifying as one of the top third-place teams if they can get some good results against the Dutch and certainly Poland. I think Poland are going to continue to struggle throughout this tournament, but
I agree.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And again, you see some teams starting well, other teams taking their time to really get into it. But as the tournament goes on, it is going to be a longer tournament. I think there will be more opportunities for teams to, improve and get better.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So recap: Netherlands are top with 3 points, France is second with 3 points, Poland third with 0 points, and Austria fourth with 0 points too. Now, moved on to Group P now. Now, my goodness, I was so surprised by this result, but performance as well. Romania 3, Ukraine 0. I mean, honestly, Romania, to be fair, I didn't know anything about this Romanian side before I watched this game, but I was pleasantly surprised by how good they actually played. And they provided I think it was a shock result. I don't think anybody expected this at all. I think Ukraine, again, was they didn't play well, really, did they? However, I have to give so much praise and credit to Romania, who I think were outstanding. I think, the talking points, though, I think in this game were obviously the two mistakes from the Ukrainian keeper, Lunin, of course, who is at Real Madrid. But like I said, which obviously resulted in the 2 goals that Romania scored out of the 3 they scored. Stanciu, I mean, wow, what a goal. The captain, from distance, however it came about, he absolutely, what a beauty of a strike. And then obviously Marin got the second early on in the second half, 53rd minute, good goal there. And Dragus, I think Dragus was a good player. He played well as well, 57th minute. They were just so good, Romania. The team spirit, the work rate, the fans as well in the stadium, were really cheering them on, having a great time. It was just a joy to watch. I was so impressed. I love stories like this. I love stories like a Romania that we don't know much about, and they come and surprise and showcase what they're about, because that's what these tournaments are about as well. It's not all about the star-studded names of these nations that have so much quality. These nations, the smaller nations, just provide just as much entertainment and drama and that not knowing what they're going to do. But yeah, Romania fully deserved their win. Outstanding from minute 1 for me. And yeah, they really did make their mark. And the confidence that'll breed as well from that performance will be just amazing. But what did you make of this game, Manny? Because I'm sure you will have been surprised. And what did you make of how Romania went about it? And also Ukraine, I thought they were I don't think they really got going, did they, in this game at all?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, and I'm going to say this right now. This sort of mirrors the Germany-Scotland game, in that, as wonderful as Romania played, I think the Ukraine probably were, quite poor, and it was an absolute shock to see them capitulate the way they did. And I think if I were to take a look at the highlights, I mean, I missed the game because I wasn't able to watch it. But by all accounts, it was just a case of Romania being better organized, better set up, and Edward Iordanescu, the coach, obviously has done a brilliant job with the Romanian national team since becoming coach of the team. And it was just a case of the Ukraine once again being caught cold. Now, we have to, accept that. The Ukraine obviously continuing to play football and play very well, with the backdrop of all of the horrible things taking place in their home country, is certainly not ideal by any means. And the report from BBC Sport pretty much details Mikhailo Mudrak saying that his own family were facing Russian missiles day and night in his home city of Krasnograd. So obviously, when you've got your family based where they are and having to face the threat of missiles, it is never ever a good thing. And I also want to credit the Palestinian national team as well for qualifying for the Asian Cup all too recently, and making the second round, and giving the hosts and defending champions Qatar a great run for their money before going down bravely 2-1. The Ukraine also deserves some praise, but they also, we have to accept, are a more experienced team with a little bit more heritage. They were quarterfinalists some 3 years ago, and they didn't even have a shot on target until the 77th minute with their first shot. And Yaremchuk had a chance for a consolation, but his shot smacked the crossbar. So they'll be up against a Slovakian team that'll be buoyed by their own result. But it's going to look difficult for the Ukraine, and Romania have given themselves a great chance of qualifying.
Absolutely.
And,
I also thought Dragusin at centre half played really well. I know he might not have been tested as much as maybe he should have done, but I think what he did do was really take command in that position, take the lead, and show responsibility at the back for Romania. I think
you might have been willing to ask Eugene what he thought of Dragusin's performance, because, as you know, Dragusin is a defender for Tottenham Hotspur, and they, as a team, obviously, were locked with Aston Villa in a huge fight for Champions League football. And Dragusin has had his share of good moments. He's had his share of bad moments. And I'm just watching the goal from the Romanian skipper Stanciu again. Top bins, as you would say.
Yeah.
And Lunin, obviously, it was a case of the Looney Tunes for him, as we'll see with the second goal from a corner. Stanchi with the corner. Actually, the flight was completely misjudged by the keeper there, but got away with it. But then deep into injury, nothing there. But I think we will see that the second goal, which was scored in the second half, was clearly the fault of the goalkeeper. And when you've got someone like Herji Bushkan, and also I think Trubin's in the squad, there are better goalkeepers as well. Why Lunin was considered good enough to start, I don't know. And you see that shot there, squeezing under Lunin there. He really should have done better with that. A more solid goalkeeper like Courtois would have, got to that very well. I think, you've got to make sure you get down a little bit more quickly than that. And that was just poor from the Real Madrid reserve goalkeeper. And now you know why he was dropped for the Champions League final. And some more pitiful Ukrainian defending, letting, the man literally in to score the third.
Yeah.
And Ukraine just looked completely off the pace, and a great result for the Romanians, and they could look forward to qualifying. But Ukraine have some questions to answer, and by all accounts, Alexander Zinchenko didn't necessarily have the best game that day. It could be time for him to be dropped, perhaps.
Yeah, potentially. But on this obviously next game, we're gonna have to speed these up now. Belgium 0, Slovakia 1. Yeah, look, Slovakia scored an early goal, and that managed to be enough to claim all 3 points. Belgium once again, though, showed that no matter how much talent you have to work well together and not play as individuals. And I just find them so boring to watch as well, Belgium.
Yes. And as you would say, Ryan, they were punished for being so profligate. They can't even blame VAR for disallowing both the goals because they were the correct decisions. The second one in particular was more controversial, but it was the right decision. And well done to Slovakia.
Yeah, they did well, didn't they? Kept the shape well and disciplined when they went 1-0 up and saw the game out, which is what you've got, great performance from them. So yeah, Group E, Romania on top with 3 points, Slovakia second on with 3 points as well. Belgium third with 0 points, and Ukraine fourth with 0 points. I don't think anybody expected that after match day 1, but it's great to have some surprises along the way in these tournaments. Now, next up, the final group. We're going to swiftly go on to these quite quickly now, and then we're going to make our predictions for match day 2. Turkey 3, Georgia 1. Now, what I will say, a special mention to Georgia, by the way. I think this game was the best game of the tournament for me, because just on the basis of the pure excitement, the end-to-end nature of this game, it was so good. It was literally such a joy to watch as a neutral. Obviously, I was wanting Georgia to win personally, because I think it would have been an amazing story if Georgia would have won. And I was kind of rooting for them a bit, telling them to go for kind of thing. But yeah, Georgia, look, I was very surprised again with how well they played. I think one thing for sure, they left everything out there on that pitch. They gave it everything. I feel like they deserve to get at least a point for this game, for their efforts, their commitment, their everything. It was just unbelievable. And they quite easily could have equalised before, obviously, Turkey went down the other end after the goalkeeper had committed upfield for Georgia. They could have easily got a goal before that point when they had a few chances there. But for me, for Georgia, they did their nation proud, and they made history, because obviously their first tournament, I don't think they scored a goal as well. They can be very proud of that. Yep. But what did you make of George? What did you make of this game in about 30, 40 seconds?
Well, I'm watching the highlights right now. Basically a case of Georgia showing a lot of endeavour and a lot of heart, but Turkey's footballing heritage just shining through. Let's not forget they were semi-finalists back in the day in Euro 2008, although those days, along with 2002, are long gone. And Turkey have always had a knack of producing some great footballs, and we're about to see an amazing goal from this teenage bloke, Arda Güler, Real Madrid youngster. Didn't get to play too many of the big games for Real this season, but obviously he is a talent, and Ancelotti does rate him. And hopefully, if he can convince the boy to stay, then he will, have a big role to play. And now Georgia hitting the bar, and the Turkish goalkeeper gleefully and gratefully coming back. And we're just about to see the third goal there with Mamardashvili, the number 25, committing himself. But a terrific save from the Turkish goalkeeper, and I don't know why. Yeah, the keeper was still up there, but a great punch from the Turkish goalkeeper again, and an empty netter, an empty netter. But this was obviously a game which had a lot of thrills, a lot of spills, and a cruel end in a way to concede
Yeah.
with virtually the last kick of the game. But Georgia can be happy a little bit, but they also will need to make sure that they cut down a little bit on their naivety when it comes to, tournaments like this. I will be honest, though. I mean, they were involved in a bit of an unsavory incident during the playoff run, which didn't endear me to them. But they've
Oh,
shown that they're more than capable of competing, and I think
mm,
Turkey's experience and quality just shone through in the end. But Georgia not going to be an easy team to play. Let me tell you
no,
that.
no, absolutely. But yeah, great game to watch that one. But the final game of match day 1 in this group, Portugal 2, Czech Republic 1. Now, again, Portugal, for me, looked very underwhelming in this performance. I think they had a lot of possession in that first half. I think it was, in the end, I think I remember seeing they had 75% of the ball in that first half, and was it unable to get a goal. And then the passing was a bit poor in that first half too. It was into the second half, more of the same really. Obviously, Czechia kind of came into it a bit. They took a surprise lead with I think this was their first shot on target, by the way. They really did offer very little in front of goal. They couldn't really seem to get in. And then Peranyak got there was an own goal for Portugal to equalise, and then an injury time winner from substitute Conceição. So
Yeah.
Portugal just get there, but wow, they left it late, didn't they, man? I mean, what did you make of this final game?
If Portugal end up going far in this tournament, it will be the bench that takes them there, because quite literally the starting lineup, they pretty much showed that playing well in the qualifiers is one thing, doing it in the major tournament is really another. And sadly, with Cristiano Ronaldo,
Yeah,
he was outstanding in the qualifiers, don't get me wrong. He was scoring goals left, right, and center. And I think it's fair to say that he has been a little bit, rejuvenated, if you will, under Bobby Martinez. But when it comes to a major tournament, I think teams are going to start sussing him out a little bit more. And obviously in Qatar, he was quite ineffective, and Santos did in fact drop him to the bench. So it will remain to be seen, of course, how far they how well they can play. And there are still several rumblings from many Portugal fans who say that Ronaldo doesn't deserve to be starting ahead of the likes of Gonzalo Ramos. I know Rafael Leao started alongside him, but there is a sort of a complaint that whenever Ronaldo plays for Portugal in the position where he has to play, he tends to gum up the works a little bit. And if things don't go his way, then it affects the whole team. It sounds a little bit harsh, but there is an element of truth in that. Defensively, they look very solid. I mean, Diogo Costa, ends up having to be the number one of choice. I still think Rui Patricio, the Euro 26 winner, of course, will always be a better quality goalkeeper. But Diogo Costa seems to be, the more in thing, as it were. I don't think he will win the Golden Ball, and he was, of course, at fault for the Moroccan goal from En-Nesyri when Portugal exited the World Cup. So it was also underwhelming, and had Conceição not scored, it would have been a draw. And as with France, that own goal would have been Portugal's only goal, so that wouldn't have been a very auspicious beginning. And credit to the Czech Republic, in the second half, they started to really, really impress on the counter and really show that they were more than capable of giving, Portugal a tough fight, a tough encounter. But I think the Czech Republic will obviously have to look to improve defensively. There is, of course, a player named Holes in that team. I think it's pronounced Holes, but clearly there were some Holes in that Czech defense, as it was proved with the injury time winner, when I think the defender wanted to try to drop down on the ball, but completely ended up seeing it bobble all the way to Conceição, poked it past Stanek in goal, and it was effectively all over bar the shouting. But the Czechia could have equalised. I think it was a header that went just wide.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, seems to remember that. Yeah.
So the Czech Republic do have a well-drilled team, and they can obviously cause a few problems. But I just think that they're going to have to work a little bit harder defensively. And as far as Portugal are concerned, this was an underwhelming display from them, and they're going to have to do some tweaking for their team if they are to have any designs of going further in the competition.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So this rounds up the roundup now. The Group F, Turkey in first with 3 points, Portugal second with 3 points, Czechia with 0 points in third, and Georgia obviously bottom with 0 points too. Now, yeah, so that is, like I said, it's been a great start to the Euros. I've really enjoyed it. But yeah, anyway, on to our match day 2 predictions now. We have kind of, we're going to start with Group A, of course. Germany taking on Hungary. Now, for me, I'm going for a convincing win for Germany. I can't see Hungary impose themselves in any way in this game. I'm going to go for a 3-0 comfortable scoreline. I could have probably gone higher. I was tempted to go 4, but no. I'm going to go for 3-0, and for the second game, I'm going to go with a between Switzerland and Scotland. I'm going to go for a 3-1 Switzerland win. I think they're going to be too strong for Scotland. But yeah, Manny, what do you think of these two scorelines will finish in Group A?
I've got exactly the same prediction for the Scots and the Swiss. Switzerland to win 3-1. And as far as Germany, I did predict that they would beat Scotland 3-1, but they ended up scoring 2 more. So you can just tell that Germany will be hungry to get some more goals. And
I like that. Or a bit slow.
You see it there. You've got to use it. I know it's a pain in the backside at times, but I just can't help it. And this Hungary team obviously showed against Switzerland that they are, a little bit undercooked a bit, and they're going to have to really buck up their ideas and really work hard if they're going to, get something out of it, or at least avoid, being really, really damaged by this German team. But several of Hungary's players have played in the Bundesliga, so like the Swiss, they will be fairly familiar with, the German patterns of play and so forth. But with Toni Kroos in that team, mate, they just look absolutely imperious. And don't get me started on some of the other players.
Absolutely.
And of course, 70 million down the drain, Kai Havertz should score again. Let's just hope he can try and repeat the same magic for Arsenal, because there have been times this season when he's looked absolutely clumsy. And we see Germany Aiden going for a big German win, but saying that the Swiss might just pip the Scots.
Yeah.
I think with Hanley coming into the team instead, with Porteous being suspended for the final 2 games, it could make things a little bit better in theory. But there doesn't seem to be anyone who can replace Ralston or McGregor. Shankland will have to come in for the Scots. But again, I just don't see the Scots being able to withstand the Swiss at all. So I've gone for 3-1 scorelines for both games.
Fair enough. Very interesting stuff there. Now to Group B, Croatia versus Albania, which is kicking off in just in 35 minutes' time from now. For me, I think Croatia will be hurting after that first game. They will be disappointed. They will be back. I think they will bounce back in this game. I think I'm going to go for a 2-0 scoreline for Croatia. I think Albania, look, I think they'll give it a go, but I'm sorry, but apart from the goal they scored against, I know it was against Italy, Albania, but I just didn't see much. To be fair, they have got some good players. I do like that Asllani. Who's the other guy that's on the other wing? I can't remember now. But they've got some players in there I do like the look of. It's Asllani and somebody else on the other side. I can't remember who it is now. But those two certainly can provide some good moments. But I just don't. I think Croatia will be too strong personally. So I'm going to 2-0 that one. And then Spain versus Italy, which is going to be a cracking game. I think this is going to be a great game to watch.
So
I think that Spain is going to 3-1.
I've got the Albania lineup for you. So as you said, Asllani, the number 21, is there on the.
Who else is on there now? Let me have a look.
Yeah, Ramadani, Safari, Bayrami. He was the goal scorer, of course.
That's it. It's Asani. I like the look of. I like him. Yeah.
And of course, Broja from Chelsea. He's also a threat. Several other players, of course. So hopefully that helps you out there. And
I'm going for a 2-0 Croatia win. I'm going for a 3-1 Spain win. I think Spain will have too much for Italy. even though Italy showed some good play in the first game. I just think Italy will be too strong for me. I just have a feeling. But yeah, Manny, what do you make of these games? Well, what are your predictions for these two? Sorry.
Well, I see Aiden has gone for a bit of a shocker there. He thinks that Croatia might end up making an early exit with a 1-0 loss to the Albanians, and Spain could prevail over Italy. But I'm also going to disagree with you with one result. I've gone for Croatia to beat Albania by a 2-goal margin. 3-1, though. I think Albania will score, but Croatia will find a way to score, and Dalic will, of course, make some tweaks to that team. But as far as Spain and Italy are concerned, it's the defending champions against an up-and-coming Spanish team. I think we've read too much into the young and fresh Spaniards ripping apart a somewhat old and creaky Croatian team. But this Italy team are also the defending champions. I think they're starting to play a lot better. The introduction of the likes of, Scamacca into the team and several others, Pellegrini, Fratesi. I'm surprised that Jorginho was still in favour. Spalletti's favour. I thought that his international career would almost certainly be done and dusted, but he finds a way, back in. And, Gigi Donnarumma, of course, the big unit. I know I say that he's an overrated goalkeeper, but it won't be easy to score past him. Yes, he doesn't move very well for a big bloke, but, I've actually gone for Italy to overcome Spain in a very tight 2-1 win because, again, Spain will start the tournament really well, but when it comes down to playing against some of the bigger teams, I think some of the bigger teams might have the measure of them in a way. And this is, of course, the same Spain team that lost to Scotland in the qualifiers for this tournament. So let's not read too much into, read too much into how well they're doing. I mean, it's all swings and roundabouts, pendulum movements. I think Italy should overcome Spain in this one, 2-1, but it will be a match for the ages.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Aiden, you went for a 3-2 Spain win, so that's what a game that'll be to watch as a neutral. And then you said, how good is the 16-year-old for Spain? Yeah, Lamine Yamal. I did a video on TikTok about him. He is just a sensation. I can't believe he's only 16. And he's so good. His maturity, his quality as well at his age, and just that no fear that these youngsters play with. It's just incredible to play at such a high level at his age. It's just unbelievable. But yeah, I agree. He's an unbelievable player. But anyway, now moving on to Group C very swiftly. England, of course. Can we beat the Danes? I have gone for a 2-1 England win. I think it's going to be very tight. I think Denmark will score, but I think England will win this game still. And then for the second game, it was a bit of a tricky one, but I think I've just edged Slovenia, a 1-0 Slovenia win against Serbia. What do you think of Group C, Manny? What do you think of the result? What do you think will happen in the Group C games? England, of course. Can they get the win?
Sorry about that. Hold on a minute, please. Same scoreline for the England-Denmark game, but I've gone for Serbia to beat Slovenia 2-1. I just think Serbia will have a little bit more about them in terms of experience and ability, and it's something. It's going to be interesting to see how well they recover from the loss to England, where they probably feel as though they could have gotten some more out of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's interesting score predictions there. And then moving on to Group D, we're nearly there, guys. I've actually missed out a group here for some reason. I don't know why, but on my notes, I haven't. Let's have a look. Yes, I've missed out because I was rushing, but I know the scorelines for the last. Anyway, and I've actually forgot to move on. Yeah, group. Because I'm rushing, because we're a bit. Anyway, Group D, right? The banner's correct now. Poland versus Austria in the first game. I think Poland will come short. I think Austria will win this game. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Austria win. And then for the Netherlands versus France, which again is going to be an interesting game. It's going to be an exciting game, I think. I've gone for a 3-1 France win. I just think the Netherlands, if they're not going to have as many chances as they had in the first game, I don't think. And plus, I do worry about their clinical edge, and I go back to it. So I think they may score one out of the chances they have, but I don't think they'll have many. So I think France will win this game 3-1. They'll have too much. What are your Group D predictions, Manny, in these two?
Yeah, I've gone for France to outlast the Netherlands, but with a 3-2 score line. And as for the other game, Austria-Poland, yes, I've gone for Austria to also beat Poland. I think it'll be close. It should be a 2-1 result.
Yeah, absolutely. And Aiden now just putting his Group C predictions. He's gone for a 1-0 England win, and you've gone for a 1-1 between Serbia and Slovenia. Fair enough. Yeah, good shouts there. And then for the next group, he's gone for a 2-2 between Poland and Austria, and a 3-0 France win against the Netherlands. Fair enough. Nice predictions there, Aiden. Thank you for those. And now on to Group E. We are moving very quickly now because we have kind of gone over quite a bit at a time, but it's no worries. But yeah, Group E, which I'm going to change the banner, I won't forget this time. Slovakia taking on Ukraine. I don't think Ukraine will be as bad as what they showed in the first game, I will say that, but I just think I'm edging more towards Slovakia. I just don't think Ukraine are going to do much. I'm going for a 1-0 Slovakia win. And then for the second game, I'm going to be very bold, and I'm going to say that Belgium go crashing out and Romania will win this game. I'll go back to it. You know, Belgium don't impress me whatsoever. They might have the quality, but they just don't seem to play well together. And yeah, I just think they're going to have a bad tournament once again. I'm going for a 2-0 Romania win. A shock win for Romania. They're full of confidence, and I think they'll back it up with another win. But yeah, Manny, what do you think these Group E? What do you think these scorelines will be in Group E?
Oh, I'll tell you what. I'm actually in a sort of a prediction league at the moment with a few mates of mine, and I did my predictions, for this entire match day all last night. So I can tell you what I've gone for. As far as the round two. So as far as the first game, which is I want to say, hold on a minute, please. So Slovakia against the Ukraine, right? So I've gone for Slovakia to beat the Ukraine because I just think the Ukraine are in a bit of a shambles now, and clearly, some of the players' minds are clearly not on the football at the moment, and clearly, when you have that sort of an environment, it can affect you. And I just think the chastening loss to Romania will have dented their confidence a bit. Slovakia, in stark contrast, will be buoyant following their win over Belgium. I've gone for the Slovaks to win 3-1, but I wouldn't be surprised if the match ends up being a little bit tighter. I think Serhii Rebrov will make some changes to the Ukraine team. Dropping Lunin will be the priority, and maybe bringing Bushkan back into the lineup and working with a few other players and trying to give them the nod and dropping a few of the starters who didn't distinguish themselves. But Slovakia should win, and I think they'll either win it convincingly or they will edge it. And as far as the other game is concerned, that's Belgium against Romania. I think that's what you said. I've actually gone for the Belgians to get their act together.
Yeah.
I'm nowhere near as bold as you. I've gone for them to beat Romania 3-1 because I think Romania had their day in the sun against the Ukraine, and it was, of course, sunny when they played. But, it's not going to be the case of lightning striking in the same place. And I think, Tedesco will make a lot of changes to that lineup too. Why he saw it fit not to play the likes of Yuri Tielemans and other players in that midfield, I will never know. I just think the team looked really disjointed at the worst of times, and Doku in particular was guilty of being a little bit wasteful in some respects. And do not get me started on Lukaku. I think Castiles had one fine save, but probably could have done a little bit better for the Slovakian goal. And look, Belgium are just going to have to get their act together. Otherwise, this campaign will go the way of that disastrous World Cup campaign 2 years ago.
Absolutely. Now, I think that just final point before we move on to the last group, I think Belgium are going to be under huge pressure as well in this game because obviously they've on the back foot already, and they've got pressure from the nation. Obviously, they expect it to do well, and I think Romania might play into Romania's hands now, which is probably why I may have just edged Romania. But we'll have to see what happens. Aiden has gone for a 2-1 Slovakia win. So you've gone for a Slovakia win as well, and you've gone for a Romania win, but just the one goal. 1-0 to Romania. I would love to see that, of course. I'd love to see a story like that, Romania getting through to the knockouts. It would be an unbelievable story for them. Now, Group F, final group. Georgia taking on Czechia. For me, I'm going for a Georgia win. I just think their team spirit there, they were very unlucky in the first game, and I go back to it. They may be hurting, but they'll be determined to bounce back. Czechia obviously will be disappointed as well, so they'll be in the same boat kind of. But I just think Georgia will just have a bit too. We'll just edge it. So I'm going for a 2-1 Georgia win for me. I think Georgia will win this game, which will mean they will qualify. Is it? I can't remember. Did they lose I'm losing track. What did they win the last game?
No, Georgia actually.
Yes, sorry,
Georgia. So Georgia lost to Turkey, yeah. And
yes.
so if they want to qualify, they'll have to beat the Czech Republic and maybe try and get a draw against
Portugal.
Yes,
But
and
I lost my track of thought there. But yeah, that's for me. I think Georgia will win this game 2-1, and then Turkey, Portugal. This will be an interesting game. This. I think Portugal may just find their groove in this game. I'm going to go for a 3-1 Portugal win. Manny, what do you think of these games? Do you think what are your score predictions for these two final group
I've
games?
gone for a 2-1 result between the Czech Republic and Georgia, but I've actually gone for the Czech Republic to bounce back from that rather unfortunate loss and beat the Georgians. I just think the Georgians, it's a romantic story, but I just think that their callowness and naivety will get the better of them. And, in my Super League, nobody has Georgia to win. They're all predicting that the Czech Republic will end up getting it. And as far as Portugal and Turkey are concerned, I know Turkey scored some absolute crackers. They literally stuffed Georgia, or they cooked Georgia's goose, if you will. But up against a Portuguese team with a better defense, I don't think they'll score too many. It'll probably end up going the way of Portugal, who will make some changes to their team, and we'll see some more goals being scored. 3-1 to the Portuguese.
Yes, the same as me. So that is our round of Aiden now. The final predictions of the day as well. Georgia 1, Czech Republic 1 he goes, and he's gone for a Turkey 2-0 win against Portugal. So interesting score predictions there. Thank you so much, Aiden, for your contributions in this video. But yeah, Manny, we've managed to go a bit over, but I don't mind. I'm glad that you've been able to stay with me anyway. But thank you so much for being on with me today. I've really enjoyed it. It's been good to get your insights in the game and your predictions as well. But yeah, big up to you. Obviously, I know you don't have a YouTube channel of your own, but you do go on plenty of streams. But feel free to give yourself a shout out there. But big up to you.
Yeah, big up to you as well. And thank you for having me on. Always a pleasure to come on and chat with you. And obviously, with Huddersfield having been relegated to League One, I don't know if I'll get too many opportunities to watch them, but I will try and catch up with a few of your streams. I know you recently signed a new player, Scandinavian, right? Is he a defender?
Yeah, he's a right wing back. Yeah, Lasse Sorensen. Yeah, from Lincoln City, who did very well. He did very well at Lincoln. As I said, I've done a video on it. He did very well at Lincoln last season in League One. Got some goals, but also assisted. So he looks a very good player, very highly thought of.
Yeah, what's very impressive is that you're preparing for life in League One by signing players with League One experience. So very smart thinking.
Yeah.
And but obviously, of course, this is time for England, and I know how passionate you are about England.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about fans like us, because obviously we have a lot of these club versus club over country players who are able to say we support the big teams that win a lot of trophies, and so we don't care about the national team. But it's fans like us, really, Ryan, who give the national team the support they really need, because they play for all of us, you see. And that's why growing up, I always loved watching international football more than club football. So, And that's why, any chance I get to do some work on the Euros is always fun. All England are we. Let's confirm our qualification from your lips to the Lord's ears. Social media. Do please catch me on Instagram and Threads at Manithangatherai1981, which is my full name and my year of birth. If you want to catch me on Twitter, where you can also find Mr. Mather and his accounts, it's just Thangatherai 1981 because there's only space for 11 characters, 15 characters, you see. And as far as the YouTube channels are concerned, you can catch me on 2 channels with Mr. B. The one which talks about England cricket, Mr. B Talks England Cricket, and also the Mr. B Hiver Football Chat, where we did a stream yesterday, in fact, talking a lot about England and some of the other games. And also, we also had a watch along for the Portugal Czech Republic game. So that proved to be not as exciting as we had hoped, but we did have a thrilling finish. So it's more than makes up for that. Also, shout out to Del Boy Gunner TV, Up the Cherries in all departments, Tony Claude Gunner TV, Danny AFC TV, AFC Talk Show TV, Spurs U Asia TV, where Ryan and I were both there. Also, shout out to Gun Down UK, where Carl and I do the Flammable Thursdays and or the Saturday Night Fever series, and that's always good fun. The Southern Gooner as well. I've been on this stream on several occasions, always wonderful. Warren's Team Talk. I did an interview with him where I spoke about my journey as a football fan, starting from my youth, growing up in England, all through my adolescent, adult years in the Middle East, and also obviously here in India. I do hope to come back to the UK very soon. It's a longing of mine, but a lot of people will be telling me, stay where you are, don't even think about it. But, home is where my heart is, and that's the way it is. And there are several other channels, of course, that I would, love to mention, but just can't think of them at the moment. Or I also know that Ryan has to leave, but I'll send these channels a check in the post if they don't believe me when I say that they're important to me. But always great to come on streams and talk. And I always say that the most important thing is to treat each other the way that we'd like to be treated. There should be no room for any kind of, disrespect, any snide, or even with banter. There's always going to be a limit to it. And there are some things that just cannot be said. We've got to do unto others as we'd have others do unto us. It's not just a biblical creed, it's a universal creed. And thanks a lot to Aidan and any others who were in the chat. Hopefully we'll have some more responses on playback.
Yeah.
And I hope you all enjoy the football. If you do enjoy the cricket, England are into the Super 8. We'll be playing later on tonight against the West Indies, although you might have to stay up a little bit beyond your bedtime for that. And don't do anything that Ryan, Aidan, or I wouldn't do. But as always, goodbye and God bless to all of you. Take care, and we'll see you all soon.
Yeah, big up to you, Manny. Big up. Yeah, great to have you on as always. Aidan, this is a great live stream. Thank you very much. And yeah, let's hope we can confirm that qualification tomorrow. Indeed. Let's see what happens. Thanks for Aidan for your contributions. And Blue Terrier is coming in there with Alfie May next. Yeah, hopefully we can sign Alfie May. It will be an amazing striker for us to play to get him in. Top scorer last season in League One with link with Charlton, sorry. And yeah, he would provide the catalyst to try and get back up to the Championship. Anyway, I'm moving on striker for. It's been a long stream. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. Like I say, if you are watching this on playback, please make sure you get your score predictions in for Matchday 2. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks to Manny for coming on. Thanks to Aidan. You're always here. Appreciate you so much. Blue Terrier nipping in as well. But yeah, big up to everyone. We'll be doing plenty more content, and watch out for that. You can follow me on my socials. HTFTV8 on Instagram and X. And yeah, I'll see you guys very soon. But yeah, enjoy today's action of the football, and enjoy match day 2, I should say, sorry. We're doing some... I might actually get an England preview out, actually. Not a live stream, but a video. Maybe do it tomorrow morning as a preview. So yeah, I might do a preview there, and then a review to the England game as well, as I always do. So yeah, stay tuned for those. Stay safe, take care, enjoy the football, and I'll be glued to my screen this afternoon. And
yeah, just briefly, I can confirm that Croatia have made some changes. Perisic, Juranovic, and Petkovic have come into the team. So clearly, Dalic has run the changes. I think he's not going to take Albania for granted.
No, absolutely. You can't take anybody for granted, can you? In this tournament. But yeah, let's see what happens in this opening game of match day 2. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye, all.